After about 6 months after release, Battlefield 2042 released an update that addressed a lot of fixes for bugs and added some quality of life updates as well. I'm only going to talk about a few of these since the update is massive, kind of looking like World War III's update from a while ago. Do these updates help the game, or is it all just fluff? We go over the update in today's video. Before I get into the details, I just want to remind you that if you like what you see, hit those like and subscribe buttons and check out the description for my social media links like my Twitter and Twitch. With that out of the way, let's continue. Looking over the patch notes on EA's blog, we start off with some main points: balance adjustments to specialists, vehicle balance changes, fix for being unable to ADS after exiting a vehicle or unable to revive players near objects, finally, and improved ribbons and XP events. Alright, so let's start with the balance adjustments to specialists. There are quite a few adjustments to sift through, but some of the items of note are as follows. Rao's Cyber Warfare Suite bug resolved that would activate without active target. Sundance's anti-armor grenade no longer targeting Irish's deployable cover and should track properly to vehicles closest to the player. Players can no longer take damage from McKay's grappling hook while downed, I guess it's a hazard zone thing, and Angel's loadout UI got simplified. It's easier to read with a little bit more info. These I feel are pretty decent adjustments. I do like the UI update to Angel's loadout crate, so if you have more than a few different loadouts, you can see them all pretty clearly along with what is in the loadout you're swapping for. Very good if you're in a rush and need a clear visual to, pick the right loadout. Sundance's anti-armor grenade is a nice update since previously it seemed to mostly lock onto air vehicles despite closer ground vehicles being within range, so that's a welcome change. I haven't used this grenade much myself, but I can only imagine how frustrating it would be to intend a grenade for a ground vehicle and it shoots into the fucking sky. The XP rewards have been updated as well. Let's quickly go over some of those changes. Projectile destroyed with Irish's APS-36 shootdown Sentinel from 5 XP to 10 XP. Enemy disrupted with EMP from 10 to 20. Equipment destroyed from 5 to 10. Healing from 5 to 20, resupply from 5 to 20, repairing from 5 to 20, and ranger destroyed from 25 to 75. Here's where things get a little confusing for me. Objective neutralized from 250 XP to 200, objective captured from 375 to 200, and sector/objective defended from 15 to 10. According to the patch notes, support action gains have been increased, but objective actions have been decreased. This doesn't make sense to me as this doesn't incentivize playing the objective that much anymore. The gains for support actions are pretty great. As a support player myself, I am more than okay with getting a little bit more XP for healing, repairing, and resupplying, but taking away XP for playing the objective just doesn't sit right with me. I do like to help the team push and defend capture points, and the XP is still decent, but taking away 175 XP for everyone's efforts to capture an objective, especially if it's hard fought for, it's just shitty. If this only affected, say, the first objective for Conquest for both teams, then each subsequent capture after that reverted back to the 375 would make more sense, since the first capture is more or less a freebie. Everything after that would be fought over and would warrant the greater XP gain. Just an idea, feel free to use that one. Now there are some smaller things that were updated, but were very much welcome. But mostly, I love the update to the sprinklers. The sprinklers on Kaleidoscope are only on for 9 seconds as opposed to 20, and they no longer hurt you, and I believe that's across all maps. I always thought this was pretty annoying, not game-breaking or anything, so this was nice as I'd often find myself in firefights in the buildings with those sprinklers on the map and have to manage my movement to avoid those things, so I'm hugging the walls most of the time. Moving on, the attachments got a bit of an overhaul as well. Prior to the patch, a lot of the attachments performed similarly to each other, but now their behavior has been updated to make each attachment more unique and impactful, and provides a clearer idea of what each attachment does. In the sessions I managed to play in preparation for this video, I felt like the attachments did feel a little more unique from each other. The recoil is still pretty rough for a game that has a lot of medium to long range engagements due to map size and design, more on that later. So running an assault rifle or an SMG isn't ideal unless you're already on a capture point, with plenty of cover so you can have pretty decent engagements. I guess the easy solution is to switch to single fire or pull down on your mouse or joystick to compensate for the recoil, but even then, I still feel like the recoil is a bit much. So my attachment experimentation is still going, trying to find some good setups for my M5A3 and AK-24, so I'll see how that goes as I keep playing. Finally, we have the big ones. VoIP has arrived as well as an end-of-round scoreboard. While I don't personally use VoIP all that much for Battlefield games, I'm glad to hear that it's made it into 2042 at long last. It was one of the many core features the game was missing at launch, and a lot of players are happy about its return. On top of that, you'll be able to check the scoreboard once the match is over, which is a very welcome addition, so everyone can check out their standings while the endgame flow plays out. The community response to this update has been mostly positive. It seems the consensus on the update is that it's a step in the right direction. It's pretty refreshing to see a mostly positive response for Battlefield 2042, despite the game still having a long way to go. However, some are reporting bugs that were claimed to be fixed still present in the game, like the inability to ADS after exiting a vehicle bug. Others say players are invisible, but this can also be the game rendering all the assets still, as it seems like it only really happens when the game is on a hard disk rather than an SSD. As far as my thoughts go, I share the same sentiment that this update is a step in the right direction for Battlefield. There are a lot of fixes and updates that I am super down with. Some I don't care about, and some I'm sure I'm still not aware of, as this update is massive. However, like I said before, this game has a long way to go still. The map design and size do not allow for much effective infantry play unless you're in an area that has a lot of cover to work with, and also limits your ability to be effective as an infantry player. On top of all that, I'm still not a fan of specialists. I think they are the worst thing to happen to this game. Your loadout being limited so you can't run a repair tool and a rocket launcher is pretty annoying to me. I would love to have classes back, as I firmly believe that would reinvigorate the team play dynamic, instead of everyone trying to get the highest kill count or whatever EA thinks they want us to do. Also, please get rid of those god-awful post-game one-liners. They are still present and still super out of line with the vibe of the rest of the game. It's so bad that Angel's "Don't Be Sad" line became a meme. I have heard that those are being worked on to be omitted from the game, though until we actually see it, I'm still gonna complain about it. I still feel like DICE should bring back classes and have a separate playlist for All Out War that is exclusively class-based matches. This way, those that enjoy the specialists can still play the way they want to, while also giving players that want classes back to have that option. Specialists feel like they were just made for Hazard Zone. The only reason why this might be a risky idea is that it'll fragment the current player base between playlists, and there are only so many players that are willing to come back and try it out. I know Steam numbers aren't a realistic representation of how the game is doing, but it gives enough of a generic impression of it, and after this update, player numbers have been slightly going up. I just hope that this game turns itself around by the time Season 1 rolls in. More maps designed more for infantry engagement that are able to be supported by vehicles, more game modes, maybe a return of tank and air superiority, specialists taking a back seat would be a dream come true, and maybe bring back some features from past games like crouch running from 5, even though I didn't like 5 all that much. I still thought the crouch running was pretty cool. Maybe Commander from 2, to just give a couple ideas out there. Once we get some fundamental changes, we can probably see this whole thing turn around, and the community will finally be happy with Battlefield 2042. And that's about all I had for this one. Thanks for watching. Again, if you like what you see, consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons, as that always helps me out. Check out the description to find my social media links, including my Twitter and Twitch. With that being said, stay hydrated, I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.